Hey guys, welcome back to a video on Falcon, a wild Mustang from Devil's Garden in California. Now Falcon began his long trip from California all the way to the state of Vermont. Once he arrived, he had plenty of time to acclimate as we didn't start his training right away. Now I was able to touch his muzzle right away, but he did have a personal space bubble still and I couldn't touch any more than that. However, I did make it a practice that every time I went out to give him hay, I would always give him a couple handfuls first before giving him the bulk of his hay. I'm sharing this because I feel like it really did make a difference. By the time I actually went to go start training him, I felt like he was more than ready to engage. He naturally had a pretty calm disposition and was ready to start training. This is my very first training session with Falcon, and I've been using Sparrow here to draw his attention. Feeding Sparrow was a handy way to grab his curiosity. Now, before I talk about training, there's a couple things that I want to touch on. First off, clearly the horses are bothered by bugs. And yes, this absolutely does affect a training session. We're not talking about the regular flies here, but horsefly and deerfly, which can have that nasty bite. Now, in my Raven series, I had quite a few people telling me that I needed to use fly spray, which, yes, of course, I would love to use fly spray. But when you have a wild horse, you can't just walk up to them and spray them with fly spray. It is, however, for me, a pretty high priority once I get that halter and lead on because it absolutely does affect the horse and their ability to focus in training. So I understand where the comments are coming from, but all in good time. Even so, fly spray isn't much of a match against these horse and deer fly. If you look at my surroundings, it's very green here. It's very moist. We have a lot of bodies of water and a lot of humidity in the air, which is perfect for breeding grounds of these flies. I will say I did get one comment that was actually really helpful from a Canadian who suggested using a smudge. So I'm looking into that and thinking about trying that this year. I don't remember who that was, but if you're watching this, thanks for the suggestion. And if any of you have ever tried a smudge, let me know and throw in any tips. Alright, so we've had to deal with another type of pest, and right now if you're squeamish, I recommend you look away. I'll let you know when you can look again. Alright, showing it in 3, 2, 1, you've had your fair warning, here we go. Although the U.S. Forest Service deworms Mustangs, it's pretty common for them to come with a pretty heavy parasite load, and Falcon probably had the worst that I've ever seen. This was one of the many parasites that he shed after deworming him, and I had to do several rounds of dewormer. I'm sharing this because when I adopted my first wild Mustangs, I had no idea how bad the parasite load could be, and I think it's important for others adopting Mustangs just to have an idea of what their horses are coming with. Alright, so that's over. If you're looking away, you can look back. Let's get back to this video here. That was pretty gross. Alright, so what you've been watching with Falcon has been his first official day of training, and I have been starting him using positive reinforcement, introducing that bridge sound, and also targeting. I'm not going to go into detail of all that and how it works, and risk sounding like a broken record. I feel like I've described it a bunch in my former videos with Sparrow, Merlin, and Raven. I'm not a diehard fan of positive reinforcement, but I definitely see the value in the early stages of Mustang gentling. Okay, you might have noticed the rubs on Falcon's face, which I believe are just from him scratching himself. Merlin actually had a similar patch, but it was more in the pull area from him trying to remove his tag. Anyway, Falcon's hair grew back pretty quickly and I never saw it again. This is Falcon's second day of training, and he's already working with a new person. It's undeniable, Mustangs go through some pretty stressful life changes, so I try to make that introduction to domestication as easy as possible for them, and positive reinforcement is something that the horses generally do enjoy, so that's why I've been using it to start. It's a great way to introduce touch and engage them in tasks such as haltering. Once the halter's on, I typically switch over to negative reinforcement or that pressure and release style of training. Look at that, I think he's gonna go fast. He might even be better than Merlin was. Yeah.
I think he knows what to do.
Yeah, I think so too. Ooh, nice. Another reason I like positive reinforcement is that it makes it pretty easy to go out and catch the horse day after day for each training session. Sometimes it can be tricky if you're not using positive reinforcement, but when the horse is engaged in the haltering process, that just makes everything a little bit easier. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video with Falcon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.